Hello again, Mavic traders, and welcome out. This is Ankit from Mavic Currencies, and this is the market recap for Monday, February the 6th. Now, let's take a look at markets, have a bit of a follow-up conversation from what we discussed in the currency room, and hope everyone is able to kind of come in this week with a plan. Again, a failure to plan is a plan to fail, so make sure you always go with a bit of a structure going into the week. Now, let's take a look at this today's market performance and kind of boil it down into what's happening and everything else. But if you take a look at the markets today, we are seeing a continuation from what we saw on Friday. So remember, Friday was a big day. That's where we had this very strong jobs report, which really changed things around for the equities and most importantly for the dollar. So the dollar was a big moving currency on Friday, and we're just seeing a continuation from what we saw last Friday. So overall, I think if you just take a look at the percentage change, markets are down, VT stock index is down, cryptos were up slightly, and gold again flat after dropping like 5% from its recent highs. Now we have seen the oil markets being a little bit strong. So the big focus now is really what the equity is going to do. I mean, if you take a look at the area here, prior support, our prior resistance is now the support. So if this is still in a bullish formation, but if it falls back below into the range, then we are dealing with the range again. I mean, we have seen this clear, this whole markets have kind of cleared up this congestion area. So if this falls back below, then we are back into this range around price action. So that's where the focus is. And I think the next 20, 40 hours we'll be able to get that confirmation. But right now, based on the candlestick, we are seeing a negative price action. So I think I'm still not as bullish. I think I'll be looking into more on the bearish side. But after a 2-day move, what we have seen so far, we might see a bit of a pause in between. But the big question is, where's the next big move? And right now, it's not the same as it was last week, where it was a lot more evident that was a lot more bullish. Now it could go either way. Now, if you take a look at the world stock index, again, similar situation. We clear out the resistance, and that's where we are kind of touching as a support. So at this point, we need to see if this area holds. If it doesn't, then we need to adjust our market outlook accordingly. Now, lastly, the crypto market. I mean, if you take a look at this structure, it's not really weak, but it's not really super strong. I mean, we had the massive start of the year in January, but right now you're seeing the slope is slowing down. We're getting close to the 20 moving average. So if the price action was a +2 here, now it's more like a +1. But again, this is where it's not a screaming buy, it's not a screaming sell. The longer it holds, the better it is, the consolidation phase. But right now, not really that interested here. So let's take a look at the performance today and see where the big movement was. So starting with the crypto markets, you can see that the big movements was really in Ethereum and Litecoin. But if you take a look at Bitcoin Cash, not a big mover. But still, these are modest moves, less than 1%. Remember, cryptos can move 4, 5, 6% in a day. This is still on the relatively slower side. Now, looking at the currency market, this is a pretty spread out board. But one of the things that we'll notice is that the theme for today was strong dollar and the weaker yen. That's where we got the best move. I think dollar yen was up more than 1.2%. So that's really where we got the biggest move. But outside of that, I mean, Australian dollar continues to be on the weaker side. Canadian dollar is kind of following what the dollar is doing. So it's slightly up. We have the Kiwi that was up. And we have a bit of a mixed bag here between the euro and Swiss franc. And these two areas definitely, these two currencies, sometimes they're kind of going negative correlation. Sometimes they're positive correlated. It's still not clear where the euro Swiss franc wants to go. So as always, follow relative strength of weakness. We had the British pound up slightly, but again, coming off from a very negative week last week. So again, if we are getting in nice little bounces here, I think those bounces could be a good shorting opportunities. And if a currency like Aussie that's already lagging, I like this further into the downside. We have the RBA statement tonight. That's where I think the next big move will come in the Australian dollar. But so far, momentum looks weak. Now, let's take a look at the overall market outlook. I've kind of brought it down from +2 to +1. Like I said, markets are still above this area. We have in this downward trend line here. We're still above the 20 to 50 moving average. But at this point, you got to understand that if you are a bull, you need this to kind of have a bit of a test support and kind of bounce off from it. If it doesn't bounce off from it, then I think the score can really drop and the price action can fall below or fall closer to the moving averages right here. So, interesting point where we are in the markets. Now, looking at the calendar, I mean, this week we have the RBS statement tonight. So, we'll be meeting live for this. So, if you haven't registered, make sure you register for it through the website. You get the link. And Corey will be teaching this tonight. So, the expectation really is for a small rate hike. But remember, lately, it's not the rate hike. This is all priced in. It's the statement. If they are dovish, then this is going to be negative for the Australian dollar. Remember, like just 2 weeks ago, we had that big surprise in the CPI report, and that really fueled the Aussie go higher. So, I mean, we'll have to kind of see what the RB statement is after coming the hot inflation number. We'll see what happens. So we'll be trading this live. And then tomorrow, a lot of people are now focusing on the Fed Chair Powell. Although, we already heard from him last press conference meeting. With this jobs report that just came out, everyone is focused if the Fed's going to kind of talk about it or change their outlook. So I think tomorrow, if you're looking for the dollar trades, pay attention to this 12 p.m. But outside of that, not a whole lot until Friday when we had the Canadian jobs report. So this week is going to be driven by the relative strength weakness and the momentum that's going to continue. So a lot different than last week, which was jam-packed. This week is going to be more of the extensions of what we have seen so far. So let's do a quick currency analysis and see where is the velocity scores. Remember, the better the velocity scores, the better the trades you'll get. So we are seeing a +2 and a -2, which is a good sign. Dollar sitting at a +3, Canadian dollar slightly lagging behind +2, and we have the yen and the Aussie as a -2. But there's a lot in the middle here. The euro is in the middle, Swiss franc is in the middle, and Kiwi and the pound is kind of in the middle. So if if the velocity kind of picks up and gets more negative for the euro and the Swiss franc, we'll have to move that accordingly. But right now, based on what we have, like I said, I'm not really super, bullish on a lot of these currencies. If the dollar stays strong, I think that could be just negative for everything else, except the CAD. The CAD is still following that footstep and kind of, being the secondary currency from the dollar and moving in that direction. And one of the things I do want to point out is that these two currencies were the weakest currency in the last 3 to 4 months. Since the October, we have seen massive downturns in US dollar, November, December, and January. So, we are seeing a bit of a regime change where we're seeing that the narrative is changing a little bit, which is good because we had the same narrative for the last 3 months. So keep in mind, if this stays strong, we can see some more weakness. Even pairings like euro dollar, dollar yen, Aussie dollar, they had some massive runs in the past 3 months. So I think that's where we want to be hunting. I know the Kiwi is hitting at a +1, but always pay attention to Aussie Kiwi. See which one is really outperforming and underperforming. Right now, Aussie's underperforming, but with the RBA tonight, if the Aussie strengthen, I mean, we could see the kind of switch, and maybe Kiwi gets weaker. So pay attention to that currency cross, and also pay attention to Euro Swiss franc as well. It's kind of bouncing back and forth. Cryptocurrencies are right in the middle. Like I said, they're more in this slightly bullish but consolidation phase. So we'll have to kind of wait and see when we get that good opportunity. I'm kind of keeping the Swiss franc on a shelf for now because, so far not really getting the price action as I was expecting. So it's just all about timing at the end of the day. I could be right, but maybe just not right in the timing. So let's take a look at trades and talk about the upcoming opportunity. So now looking at the trades here, I want to start with the currency baskets and primarily look at dollar. I mean, I want to kind of highlight how weak the dollar has been for the past 3 months. You can see the area here. We have been below the 20, below the 50, very anemic price action. But I mean, take a look at these last 2-3 days move. We have almost recovered what we had lost in the month of January. So very good price action. I think this is where we might need to change our outlook as well. We can't just be ultra bearish on the dollar. Maybe that trade is over. We had that trade for almost 3 months. So in the shorter term, if I just look at the technicals, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised we get this little small pullback here. And then if the price action stays strong, we can get a continuation. But this is a good sort of development for dollar bulls. in the shorter term, you can see that it's turning the corner here. So at this point, I actually think the pullbacks could be shallow, but there's definitely further opportunity for the dollar to actually strengthen. Now, if the dollar stays strong, I mean, look at the yen. Yen is, on the other hand, staying kind of weak. So just like the dollar is hitting the 20-day moving average, we had the yen also testing the 20-day moving average. Remember, the whole narrative changes with the dollar yen as well. You can see how with the yen, it really turned around when the dollar was actually weakening. So in this case, it can easily give up this level here and then test this resistance level from previously, which is now the support. So this is where I'm seeing the shift that's taking place. So the support on yen is right here. If it breaks the support, I definitely like yen to more on the short side than to the long side. I think we can see that trade kind of flip. And if you can see the dollar yen trade, you can kind of point that out. I mean, look at that consolidation. We had a solid support at 127 or 128 area, and now we're testing the 20 moving average. So remember, we get this pivots that happens, and then we just get a continuation right after that. So question is this a change of that regime? I would love to see a short-term pullback and then kind of break out from there. I think that would be a good buying opportunity. So I will be looking at more on getting the long on weakness. And I know whenever these shifts happen, if you're delayed on this, then you're still kind of looking to short this dollar. But I think you got to be very careful about shorting the dollar here, because this could be that turning moment. And what's been going on and working for you for the last 3 months might not be the same case. So be very cautious on that. I'm more looking to see the buy into some of the dollar pullbacks instead of trying to sell this rally. Now, looking at the other areas, I want to kind of highlight the euro, which again you can see that this is still range bound, still holding above the 20 to 50 moving average, but we are kind of sitting right in the middle here, not bullish, not bearish. I think there's better opportunities outside of it. Now, looking at the Swiss franc, you can see that Swiss franc is kind of stuck in the middle of this range. I initially liked it more to the downside, but you can see that it's not really developing in the way I was expecting to. So the ultimate short on this one would be if this actually breaks the support here. Or, I don't mind taking a look at short around this resistance area. So right now we're kind of stuck right in the middle here, but I actually do want to still look to sell the Swiss franc rather than buy the Swiss franc. Now, looking at the pound, looks a lot much weaker. You can see that we're getting a bounce, but this bounce is just a shorting opportunity. Now, looking at Canadian dollar, look at that tide change. We have been in this consolidation phase after having this massive drop in November. We are now above the 20-day moving average. Now, this is, again, a good sign for any sort of CAD bulls that are waiting for another run in the CAD. Realize that once we clear some areas, we're still kind of far away from this 20-day moving average, which means that we can still get some nice little opportunity or a continuation once they clear out this congestion area. So at this point, we have seen double rejection here, third time here. If this breaks, I think this is a good sign for all the Canadian dollar bulls. Now, let's talk about Aussie. Look at a turn of events here. We were so strong in the Aussie. Markets were looking strong. Everything was going its way. But look at that. They're falling right back below into the range here. A mishmash for the trend score here. But I still like it on a velocity basis. If I go on a 4-hour chart, we are just testing this 20-day moving average, which it did, last month. I would love to see a bit of a bear rally to kind of short into. Notice that the moving averages are turning over, which means that the momentum is turning over as well. So now looking at the Kiwi is just testing the support area. But again, Kiwi also had a massive run in the last quarter, and this is in the consolidation phase for more than a month. If this gives up, I think there's definitely a good opportunity for shorting the Kiwi as well. So as you can see that if the dollar does stay strong, there's definitely a lot more movements to be had in a lot of these currencies that were so extended for the last 3 months without some major pullbacks. So at this point, if you are a dollar bear, I think you want to wait. If you're a dollar bull, I think you want to use some of the pullbacks as a buying opportunity. So I think that's where we are at. That's where the big movement is. But outside of that, not really not really see anything else moving. I think with the dollar going to the upside, that's where we will probably get better price action. And same thing if I go to Euro USD, some a good turnaround. But look at the daily chart. We gave up that 20-day moving average. Now testing the 50 moving average. Once it gives that up, I mean, there's definitely more room for this to fall. Same thing with pound dollar. We are seeing a turnaround. I mean, look at the resistance. I mean, look at the congestion above that resistance. Instead of breaking out higher, this thing has broken down lower. So I do like this more to the downside. So any sort of rallies, I think good shorting opportunities. So depending on how long is your holding period, this is where once you figure out what the direction is, then we just need to wait for the right timing or have the right time frame to let the trade develop. If we expect, further continuation there. Now, dollar yen, same thing. I mean, we're seeing a little bit pullback right now, but look at how strong the price action is. This is a good sign. If you're looking for, sort of reversals, this is not what you want to see when you see a reversal. In reversals, you want to see these shadows on those candles. That's just telling you that there's not enough momentum to hold that through. But right now, if you take a look at it, even a currency like dollar Swiss franc, I mean, right at the 20-day moving average. The last time it fell below the 20-day moving average was like back in November. So this could be, again, a turning moment for the dollar. I still like it to the upside. I think we could consolidate a little bit in the short term. But if that continues to push higher, I think that's the right call to be in. So that's a game plan here. We'll be, again, keeping everybody in touch through the updates. But make sure you have the right strategy for the right environment. And most importantly, when the thing shifts, when things change, you got to change with the markets. That delay can cost you a lot more if you're not making that adjustment on time. Just like back in November, we had to see a big turn in dollar and the Canadian dollar. And that's really what the turning point. And after that, the CAD just sold off on every rally. But now, if this is a turning point, then we need to be looking at dollar more on the long side instead of shorting the rallies, because we've been doing that for the last 3 months and it has been a great strategy. But if this is a time where it just holds and just continue running higher, then we need to stop looking at the dollar bears, but then more on the dollar long side. And same thing goes with the CAD too. I think CAD is right. It's in that range here. If it breaks above that range, I think it can really have some good gains to the upside as well. So always trade less, but focus on currency in play. Go, trade the premise, look at the reward risk ratio. And when you don't like the conditions, you don't have to be active. Let's say in the next 24 hours, if the dollar goes flat or slightly negative, I'm not looking to trade that. But if I see a little pullback that got bought out, then I'm definitely more interested in buying that position or making that trade in that direction. So that's the game plan. Have a great rest of the evening, and we'll see you next update. Cheers.